All right, hi everyone, welcome back to Wednesday, hump day, middle of the week. And what do we get? Well, we got Bitcoin being in the green. Miners were in the green as well today after a kind of turbulent beginning, I think it was. We were in the green, we were in the red, but then we were actually in the green. A lot of it was because of Microsoft and, well, I think it was false news around Microsoft and their sales rep that they were, basically they told them something that, it was something to do having to do with the AI side of things, that the sales were not going to be there or something like that. So they were lowering their expectations, I guess. That was false news. After that, everything kind of popped back up afterwards. So that was good. Not much else is happening here other than Bitcoin being green, miners being green as well towards the end of the day. We do have an update from IREN on their convertible notes, and we have an update from CleanSpark as well on their production update for November. So we'll get into that. And then we'll get into Q&A afterwards. So it should be pretty short and sweet. And we do have some good news stories as well. Okay, so overall, not a bad day. But as always, not financial advice for internet only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. As always, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously here. And let's take a look at what we got going on here. And I need to pull in IREN. I forgot to pull in IREN here. I got CleanSpark loaded up and ready to go, but I just remembered IREN also came out with stuff here. Bear with me here for a second while I pull IREN in here. And we'll cover it at that point as well. We'll probably cover IREN before we cover CleanSpark there. All right, let's get into the charts here. Sorry. Here we go, charts. All right, so Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a pretty good day today. It was up 2.35%. It closed at 93,453 and change there. We had the NASDAQ obviously being up, Dow Jones being up, S&P being up as well. Russell was up nicely today, 1.82% on the day. Miners, for the most part, like 99% of them, had a good day. The only one that was down was Cango there. Ethereum also had a pretty good day today. It was up nicely today. It was up 6.44%. So it closed at 3,189. So that was looking pretty good there. Bitfarms was up just a little bit today after actually being down most of the day, but it came out in the green here, being up 0.32%. BitTBT was up a little bit as well, 0.88% there. Cango, like I said, was down 3.05%. Cypher had a good day, 5.61%. CleanSpark also had a good day, being up 5.69%. CORZ was up 4.61%. Hive was up 4.13%. Hut 8 rebounded from yesterday a little bit. It was up 6.21%. IREN definitely rebounded there, about halfway from what it lost yesterday. It was up 6.91%. Mara was up 4.7%. Riot was up 2.76%. And Wolf was up 1.48% there after coming close to the 50 SMA there on that one. Bitcoin holding companies here. We had MicroStrategy being up 3.89%. Galaxy being up 6.46%, Block being up 1.66%, Coin being up 5.19%, Metaplanet being up 0.77%, Exodus being down 1.04%, Nexon being up 0.82%, Semler being up 2.3% there, Phoenix being down 16%. This thing just continues to fall here. This thing has been falling kind of like a rock in a river, it seems like. When's the last time it was this low? Never. It's never been this low, actually. It's come way down here. You can see it started trading here. It looks like back in January 24. This thing has plummeted hugely here. All right, so there's that one. GameStop was up just a little bit, 1.75%. Small miners, mixed for the most part. We had Annie being up 1.94%, Argo being down 4.23%, DG Power was down 4.1%. DMG was also down 2.25%. Mawson was up actually 4.93% there. This thing is also pretty low. Last time it was this low was when? Never. It has never been this low as far as price is concerned there. Canon being down 1.56%. The Bitcoin ETF miners were up today. BitQ was up 3.89%. BKCH was up 4.26%. DAP was up 4.57%. WGMI was up 4.10% there. And Ethereum holding companies had a pretty good day. BMNR was up 5.48%. BitDigital was up 4.02%. BTCS was up 6.8%. Game was up 1.03%. And SBET was up 6.22%. Other things that we track here, American Bitcoin was up a little bit today, kind of bounced back from where it was yesterday. A slight bounce back. Not a huge bounce back, but a slight bounce back on it. I mean, it had a huge red day yesterday. It was down, was it 38%? Today it was up a little bit. Compared to where it was down yesterday, it was up a little bit, 9.13%. Wi-Fi was up 1.99%. Open was down 0.72%. This thing has been kind of trading sideways here, flat more or less over the last, going back to September, it seems like. This thing is just kind of holding steady there right now. Oracle was up 3.3%. Nibius was up 2.56%. Soluna was up 11.39% there. We had BACT being up 5.69%. Fermi was down 3.74%. Well, who else do we have here? Meta was down 1.16%. Google was actually up 1.46%. Amazon was down 0.87%. Microsoft down 2.5%. Was down a little bit further than that and kind of bounced back up here a little bit. And NVIDIA was down 1.03%. Looking at the miners here in after hours right now. Let's see how we are stacking up on these guys here. Let's refresh some of these. So BitDeer's up 0.71% here. Bitfarms right now is actually down 1.29% there. Not sure what's going on with that one. We got Cango being up 3.94%. So actually kind of bounced back from today's lows. Today is in pre-hours down 1.02%. CleanSpark, look at that one. That one's up just a little bit, 0.21%. CORZ Scientific is up 0.18%. Hive Digital is up a little bit as well, 0.91%. Hut 8 here is up a little bit as well, 0.05%. IREN is, let's see, it's actually down 0.41% here. Mara currently is up 0.24%. So little gains here on some of these guys, and some of these guys are actually down. Riot is down, up 0.19% there, and TerraWolf is up, actually down 0.49% on that one. So that's kind of where we are shaping up to be right now. Bitcoin here for the month of December is up 2.75%. We are just barely above where we were last year. Going back to, I think it was the beginning of the year or something like that. We're just up a little bit in the green here overall. So this year, there was really no bull run in Bitcoin, considering where we are right now, and considering where we started the year out and where we ended the year up on a high of 126,000. We were up like 20-some% at one point. Not a bull run at all in Bitcoin this year. So still leads me to believe that we might be in an extended cycle here going forward. Looking at the Bitcoin ETF inflows for yesterday and today. Yesterday we had positive inflows of 58.5 million. IBIT buying in quite a bit there. And then today we're actually down without IBIT reporting, which is BlackRock. We're down 57.1 million. I think we might be able to squeak out another win here if IBIT comes in at least above 57.1 million there on it. Okay. The FedWatch tool here for the rate cuts increased some more here to 89 now. We were at like 88.6 yesterday, so that increased a little bit here as well. That basically means we're going to get rate cuts here happening this month in December. Probably another 25 basis points, which is good there overall. And then some of the good news stories that we do have here on X, we can see here. This is actually a pretty good news story here. So NVIDIA, this is from Matthew Siegel here. NVIDIA obsolescence risk is mostly a myth. Yesterday, CoreWeave said demand is strongest for older H100s sold out because the software libraries are mature and engineers know them cold. That's why customers are renewing multi-year H100 contracts at just 5% below original price. So that's actually pretty good. Right, those things considering. So that actually bodes well there. And we've heard this also from other companies like Google, right, where they're saying that their older hardware is still getting utilized quite a bit there. Well, 100% utilization for older hardware as well. So that obsolescence risk has definitely diminished here tremendously from not only from CoreWeave, what they're saying, but from Google and others as well. And that was the basis of the thesis of a lot of these guys doing, being short on AI because they were thinking, these machines can only run for about 3 to 5 years max, but we're seeing obviously some of these TPUs and GPUs running for definitely a much longer time frame than what was originally expected, which is actually a really good thing for us. So love seeing that. Next here we have breaking. Citizens maintained IREN coverage with market outperform and target of $80 is basically a double from where it's at right now. We do have obviously others as well that have a much higher priced than where we are right now. We have price targets above $140 as well for IREN. So I believe there's still, excuse me, a lot of upside to go with IREN going forward as well. I'm thinking at least 2 to 3x minimum that we could get out of it in the next year potentially, and then possibly even more after that as well. Or it might be actually more this year. And that one. Next year, this is from, I can't pronounce his name, so I do apologize there, but you guys can obviously see who that is. The absorption. Wall Street just executed the most coordinated financial maneuver since 2008. In 216 hours, they captured Bitcoin between November 24th and December 2nd. JP Morgan filed leveraged Bitcoin notes offering 1.5x upside with 30% downside protection. Vanguard reversed years of opposition, opening its 11 trillion platform to 50 million clients. We talked about that earlier this week as well. Bank of America authorized 15,000 advisors to recommend Bitcoin allocation of up to 4%. Right? We've been talking about allocations by a lot of these money managers that would be 1%, 2% max. But we're seeing obviously allocation of 4% now, which is even better. Right? They're recommending that going forward here. Bitcoin is going to go up, I think, in the long term. Right? We all believe that it's going to go up, but whether it's going to be how fast it's going to go up, that's going to be the questionable question to ask, I guess. Okay. Goldman Sachs also acquired Innovator Capital for $2 billion on the same day. 4 institutions, 9 days combined assets exceeding 20 trillion. The probability of coincidence approaches 0. Here's what they do not want you to understand. While retail investors panic, sold 3.47 billion in November, the largest monthly ETF outflow on record. Institutions were building the infrastructure to absorb it. BlackRock's IBIT alone lost 2.34 billion in retail redemptions. Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth tripled their Bitcoin holdings in the same quarter. Right, so big money is definitely stacking sats there, stacking Bitcoin. The transfer from weak hands to strong hands is complete. Simultaneously, MSCI is voting January 15, 2026 to exclude companies holding more than 50% in digital assets from global indices. Strategy Inc. faces 11.6 billion in forced selling. Right, we talked about that. That's Sealer pretty much ruled that out. That's not going to impact them on it because they're not a treasury company. They also have a business that's generating about $500 million in revenue a year alone. Right. So also JP Morgan published a research warning of this exclusion. JP Morgan holds 343 million in IBIT shares, up 64% last quarter. JP Morgan is launching products to capture the redirected flows. Right. So it's one of those things where I've always talked about watch what they do, not what they say. And that will give you definitely a direction of where things are going. The conflict is not hidden, it is structural. NASDAQ expanded IBIT options limit by 40x to 1 million contracts. We talked about that as well. This enables the volatility suppression that transforms Bitcoin from speculative asset to a portfolio component, and the asset designed to eliminate intermediaries has been absorbed by them. The protocol remains unchanged, the network functions, the supply cap holds, but the economics now flow to Wall Street. Bitcoin was not defeated. It was captured. Read the full deep dive if you want it in Substack. But yeah, I agree 100% there with his really quick breakdown of it. Right, we saw, that's kind of what they do. They instill fear, panic in the markets. Retail capitulates, retail sells out. They buy in at lower prices, and then they're running it back up here. It's a story as old as time in these markets, right? They're going to do these things to benefit from it the most. And if you're not patient, if you're not strong of heart and strong of stomach, you're going to be, obviously capitulating there and selling out to the stronger hands, which those guys are unfortunately stronger hands at that point. But so this leads me to also believing that Bitcoin is going to be in another extended cycle, the first extended cycle that we're going to have in Bitcoin here potentially. That's if things play out and Bitcoin doesn't go below 80,000 there. Okay, next here, breaking U.S. ADP private payrolls unexpectedly fall by 32,000 jobs in November. While a gain of 10,000 jobs was expected, the Fed will have no choice but to cut rates. And that's why we saw, obviously, the Fed tool prediction going up to 89% there. 89, was it 89%? I think it was 89%. Where's it at? 89%, yep. Okay, so that's why that's happening there. And then Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong says major banks are piloting crypto with the exchange, right? We've been talking about this many, many times before that, yes, banks are getting into it slowly here, and it will only continue going forward. There is no way of stopping this train once it gets going, and it is already going right now. So that's all good news stories that we do have here right now. IREN. So IREN announces pricing of ordinary shares. Here we talked about this a little bit. And then, when was it? Yesterday? I think it was yesterday, or the day before. Because yesterday they definitely got beat up quite nicely because of it. But we talked about it on Monday. So there's not much change in that. Everything else is still the same. They're looking to close on that the 8th, which would be next Monday here. We do have some figures, though, that as far as percentage is concerned. They have one offering. I saw it here earlier. Was it? Let's see. Okay, here we go. 1 billion aggregate principal offering amount of 25%, not 25, 0.25% convertible senior notes due 2032, and a 1 billion aggregate principal amount of 1% convertible senior notes due 2033. So that is definitely lower than the prior ones they had that were 3.5% on one of them and 3.25% as well at that point. So they got them lower and they got it pushed out for a number of years there afterwards as well. I'm fine with that. It's not a big deal. And this is going to be going through, and I'm actually happy that they're doing it, right? Less dilution here happening in the current form. Other one here was obviously the continuation of it as well. They break it down here. 1 billion of convertible senior notes. We talked about that 25% conversion premium there to 25.25%. And then the other 1% coupon with also 25% conversion premium there as well. So capped call transactions as well on both of those. And it's all good things, right? So we'll get more details on when they close. Will it be oversubscribed? It might be. I think it might be actually. But this definitely gives them the capital that they need to not only pay off some of the convertible notes that they do have, and also gives them flexibility going forward as well to build out the data centers that they need. So this is all good news overall. All right. Next here is CleanSpark. CleanSpark releases their November 2025 Bitcoin mining update. This is a quote from Zach. Zach's no longer there. This is from Matt Schultz. CleanSpark's progress this year reflects what's possible when a team believes in a shared mission. Last month, we expanded our contracted power to over 1.4 gigawatts with an additional 125 megawatts in TVA's service territory and had a successful closing of our 1.5 billion zero coupon convertible notes offering, said Matthew Schultz there. Our team is focused on expanding CleanSpark's contracted power, continue to mine efficiently, and positioning the business to rapidly release existing capacity while maintaining optionality to shift hash rate to optimal segments of the portfolio. We are proud of the fiscal 2025 and even more excited for the road ahead, which is great news there. Excuse me. We talked about the 1.15 billion financing that they did with the convertible notes there, then buying back shares as well for 460 million roughly. Those were all good things here. Production-wise, here's what we got though. Bitcoin produced 587 right now as it is. It's a little bit lower than where it was the month prior, but with them being at 50 exahash, hash rate actually for Bitcoin networks hash rate increasing, that's going to result in them generating less. We know that that's part of the functionality of Bitcoin mining there, unfortunately. And then the calendar year 2025 Bitcoin produced was 7,124. Really good numbers there. Average operating hash rate was 47.4, pretty close to 100%. Not 100%, but pretty close to that. Total Bitcoin holdings as of November 30th was 13,054, a slight increase. They did sell quite a bit there this time around. They sold 565.41 Bitcoin there for total proceeds of 52 million roughly. And the average price of Bitcoin sold was around 91, almost 92,000 there as it is. And then gigawatts under contract, 1.45 right now as it is. Utilizes only 108, so they have 600 megawatts that could be used for, HPCI, whatever they want to use it for, which is all great there. And that is basically it here. Let's see if I have this pulled up. I don't. Okay, bear with me. Today's been a crazy day for me, so I'm not as prepared as I thought I was. Let me pull this up really quick as well. Let me see here. Miners. I want to go into miners, large numbers. There we go. Pull that up. I was earlier helping my son with the spelling words, and I was working on it on my laptop, and I forgot that I didn't open this up in my computer downstairs where I do all this stuff. So let me open this up really quick here. All right. Apologize and thank you for waiting. Here we go. Here's what we got. All right, we got Cango. We don't want Cango. We want CleanSpark. Okay, so here's CleanSpark price. This was as of yesterday, 1371. Market cap 3.5 billion here. Shares outstanding is 255 right now. Performance over the last 12 weeks has been kind of a little weird, right? So last week they were up 55.19%. From 4 weeks ago, they're down 3%. From 8 weeks ago, they're down 21%. And from 12 weeks ago, they're still up 45.9% there. So they're doing actually pretty good there overall. They're bouncing back up here. Currently, we have them at future hash or current hash rate 50 exahash. Future hash rate, we're targeting somewhere around 57.5 roughly. We're still waiting on when that's going to happen, if that's going to happen. I think it is. It's just going to take a little bit more time possibly. They do now hold 13,054 Bitcoin. That's valued at 1.2 billion right now as it is. That's a lot of cash there as it is. And their HODL to market cap is 34.85%. Each share has $4.78. Okay, Bitcoin production here, you can see that number has been coming down. ever since they got to basically 50 exahash in June here. You can kind of watch that right there, right? They peaked in actually May with 694 Bitcoin. They actually peaked probably before that, 706 in February. But second highest was April there at 684, and then ever since then it has been coming down each month slightly lower. That is a result of the network hash rate for Bitcoin actually increasing each month. So as that increases, if you stay the same hash rate, you're going to be generating less and less Bitcoin because of that, right? You're losing the the market share of Bitcoin network. So that's going to happen to not only CleanSpark, but it's going to happen to all the miners here that are not growing right now, as well, except for the ones that are still possibly growing. So we kind of knew that was going to happen. My thought process, and I was thinking that maybe Bitcoin would actually go up faster than the network hash rate has been, but Bitcoin's been kind of flat here this year overall, so that's not really helping out. So that's obviously driving revenues as well, because if Bitcoin was actually going up here, keeping up with the network hash rate, or at least going up a little bit higher, these guys would be still generating actually more revenue because of that, but that didn't play out that way. So monthly revenue has been falling down ever since July, which was their best month at 77.4 million. And we're now down to 56.51 million. Obviously, Bitcoin coming down in price as well didn't help out here in November as well. And their HODL, we can see here, continues to increase. And their current estimated revenue annual run rate right now is about 678 million as it is. Okay, hash rate, we talked about that obviously, 50 exahash. So they've been there for the past 6 months, it looks like. Right, they reached that in June here. We're in November, we are in December now as well. Bitcoin sold. They've been selling pretty much the same amount, roughly in the 500s to, I would say, probably mid 500s level since June as well. So that's fine. They're obviously doing that to fund operations, everything else that they need to do at that point. And then whatever's left for them, they could use it for HPCI as well to build that out. Bitcoin per exahash efficiency here down to 11.7. We know that's going to be happening. That happens for everybody. We probably should get rid of this metric because it just continues to go down as the network hash rate continues to increase as well. So, but we can kind of compare them against each other to see which ones were more efficient for the month than others. Bitcoin sold value, right? We talked about that as well, more or less between 50 and 60 some odd $1 million there. Talked about that. We'll get into some of these numbers here. Analysts and institutions ratings here. We have now 520 institutions in the stock there with 221 million shares owned by institutions. That's 87.14% owned by institutions. We now have 8 strong buy ratings, 3 buy ratings, 1 hold rating, 0 underperform, 0 sell, and price target is still $30 for the high. Average went down a little bit to 23.16, and the low stayed the same at 14 there. So institutions have been buying in, right? Regardless what retail is doing, institutions are buying in on a lot of these guys here. And I mean, it's way up from where we were before. I mean, you can just go back to June there, we were at 66%. If we go back probably a year out, we were probably at 30% at that point, I think. So institutions this past year have been buying like crazy, not only CleanSpark, but also IREN, Cypher, and others as well. Okay, going down here for the month of November, we had them operating for approximately 27.198 days. That's a little bit less than what we had in October, which was 28.4 days there, based on the information that we do have here, at least right now. So it's still really good, but love to see that actually improve. I think some curtailing was happening there nonetheless. So that got us to the 56.511 million in overall revenue here for them. And based on that, if we look at their numbers here, recent ones, times 12 months, at a 15 PE multiple, having between 1990 and 2985. They're at 1371 as of yesterday. They're up a little bit higher today, but they're still undervalued in my opinion based on that. Looking at their past 3 quarters and their current quarter, right, they're still undervalued on that as well. And then if they get HPCI deals or something like that, for some of the sites that they do have around Atlanta and other things, and maybe in Texas as well, depending on what the deals are, that's going to definitely increase their potential to go up higher from that point as well. So I think they're undervalued quite tremendously here as it is, along with others in the space currently. So I do think that there's still quite a bit of upside for these guys to go, but that's just my opinion, right? We'll see where they actually end up going after that. All right, that is it. That's all I got for you guys here on today. Nice job by CleanSpark overall, right? We're looking forward to the future as far as where they take the company with HPCI as well. And I'm a fan. I'm a supporter. I like the stock. We'll leave it at that. Okay, spreadsheets available to Patreon members. As always, that link is down in the description. If you want to join, help out, support what I do, really appreciate that. If not, obviously you get all this information for free anyways from me here. All right, so that's it. let's get into Q&A, see what you guys have to say as always. And if you could preface the question mark with a question or a Q or a question mark, that'd be great. And I'm going to scroll up and work my way down as always with the comments and questions and everything else. So be patient. We'll get through everything here nonetheless. Okay. So John, Kurt says, bought more IREN and Cypher with being late to the party. I couldn't pass up these up right now. I think it's a great time to buy. A lot of these guys have been beaten down here. Cypher, even IREN as well, right? So, yeah. Jim Chris says, hey, Seb, sure hope my largest holdings, CleanSpark, satisfied you. Go IREN. I mean, share-wise, I think CleanSpark is more than IREN, but IREN right now, dollar value-wise, is a lot more than CleanSpark is, at least for me right now. Sheik says, please stop the damn bleeding in Hive. Well, Hive went up a little bit today, so that was actually good. Steven, Bitfarms price action is horrible. I got to get out of it. I mean, I wouldn't say it's horrible. It's kind of in line with what we've seen with everything else that's been going on with the miners and the ones that have AI potential. I mean, it's down quite a bit from where it was. Let's see if this thing actually loads for me. I mean, it's not, let's see, how far is it down here? Let's go here, and we'll take the ruler. We'll go from the top here. It's probably going to be down, what, 35? It's 53%. Okay. Yeah, so it's down. But if you look at some of the other ones here, also are down like 50%. I mean, if you look at IREN here, which is obviously the darling in the space here, this one's down quite a bit also from the top where it bottomed out here. So let's go about here down to there. It was about 50% as well. So a lot of these guys, it's just not Bitfarms itself. It's a lot of these guys that got beaten down here for really no reason. Nothing really changed in the space other than some fear mongering by people going short on these stocks, thinking that they're overvalued. Okay. But healthy pullback nonetheless, I think. So that was a good. Okay, talked about that one. Let's see. Mr. X says the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. That it is. Just it. Canadian EH Super Chat, thank you so much for that. The pullback was sufficient to scare weak hands. I agree with you there. Yep. Rob Wong, which pullback for which stock are we talking about? Canadian EH. I mean, a lot of these guys got on, right? Rob says, let's see. Canadian says, in risk assets, especially crypto, now blow off top will continue, in my opinion. I'm hoping for the same thing there. What else here? We got Neil. The pullback was sufficient for people to profit from the decline, and people will also profit in the next decline. Well, we're going to go up and then we're going to decline. I mean, that's the way the markets work for the most part. You go up, you go down, people make profits. It is what it is. Daniel, I feel like late to get into CleanSpark. Okay. You kind of know my thoughts on it right now. I think CleanSpark is undervalued from where it should be. Then, like I said, if they get an HPCI deal within the next, we don't know when it's going to happen, within the next 6 months or something like that, it could do very well as it gets re-rated at that point. All right, let's see it. Rob says, I'm excited to hear that in 2026, Charles Schwab will be getting into Bitcoin for their clients. That'll be happening if it hasn't already happened. I thought Charles was already in there. I could be wrong on that one. Reluctant Luddite Seb, I sold 10% of my IREN and replaced it with IRE, the 2x leverage IREN daily, ETF, and a little MSTY, the 2x leverage and MicroStrategy, just a little experiment. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it might not be a bad time. I don't mess with those things, but it might not be a bad time since they've been beaten down so much. That might actually be a pretty good move there. Time will tell, I guess. Let's see. Daniel, why the move on CleanSpark? What move? Other than it being uphill here a little bit today? I'm not sure. Let's see here. Neil, talking about putting on horse blinders with the analysis of the miners and completely disregarding any potential external forces. Sometimes you have to do that in the markets, right? You get a lot of people that are either negative or pro. You get the both camps, and I like to listen to both just to get a good overview of what's going on, right? Because if you get into some of these places where it's just like an echo chamber, it's not a good thing. You need to have something that's a little bit more dissenting. And I got to sneeze here, sorry. Yeah. Oh, I hope my allergies are not kicking in. But you just need to hear some pointing opposition as well, right? You can't just be all one way because there might be something that you're missing, and that opposition might be able to provide that for you. Canadian says, yes, recession is coming already here, really, but that doesn't prevent a blow off top before the decline due to expectations on easing liquidity. And also, the Republican Party here next year wants to do well in the midterms. I think that's going to play into it as well. Neil says, I made a 25% return in 1 day with shorting. Thank you to you guys being perpetual bulls. You're very welcome. Let's see, Rob. What makes you think we are heading for a recession? Question to a Canadian there. When there will be rate cuts and also a new Fed chair in Kevin Hassett. Can't fight physics. Recession is already baked in. No way around it. I don't know if I agree with that. Recession is usually called when you have 2 quarters of negative GDP growth. We haven't had that yet, so I don't know if it's going to be happening here. If we get prices down on fuel, on other things as well, Trump gives out, $2,000 to lower income families as well. That should help out there. What else am I missing? Interest rates go down as well. I think that's going to be a good sign there. So maybe not. Let's see. Neil says, look up Japan and the yen carry trade. Yeah, the yen carry trade is definitely unwinding there. That's no longer going to be, I don't think it's going to be viable going forward, basically. Mr. X says, question, I heard ABTC had a bunch of convertible notes that matured yesterday and it was then sold heavily, thus causing 50% downward dip. Did you hear anything? I didn't hear about the convertible notes. I heard about the shares being unlocked from the merger of the 2 companies, right? I think it was 3 months lockup period or something like that. So you had a lot of people in profit at that point, taking obviously profits, and that's what drove it down. That's kind of what I heard there. Rob says, that's the Japan economy, and why would we be affected? I know some financial institutions were using the yen for borrowing, but if I'm not correct, I believe the U.S. will be best for borrowing next. Yeah, you got cheap money there. That was why they did it, right? Cheap money there. You could buy something else at a much lower, so you could borrow money in Japan at a much lower interest rate, get the 2-year and 10-year notes here in the United States with a higher interest rate, and so you'd make up the difference. So you get that difference there on it. Okay, let's see here. I can't pronounce that. Yavanchoy. Please analyze IREN financials. I did that already a couple weeks back. 2 weeks back when they reported it? So we already did that. Check out the video for that. We definitely analyzed it. It was still good. What else we got here? Yvonne says, what's the right value of IREN? IREN, depending on how you value them, if you value them on a multiple similar to some of the other hyperscalers, they should be much higher in value right now. It is. They do have the contract with Microsoft there for 5 years, so it's going to be costly for them to build out, but they have good deals in place right now, I think, and with the convertible notes right now, those are doing good. I think they should be higher. I think they should be at least 2 to possibly 3x higher from where they are right now, and I think as they continue to build out and grow their own business with the GPUs as well, that will be revalued as well going forward. But right now, we're in this kind of doldrum, I guess, in price action on these guys right now. All right, Rob asks, anyone worried about Bitfarms price action? You need not, because it's the shorts doing that all, because Bitfarms is on the right track on want to scare you into weak hands to sell the stock so they can buy. I agree with you there as well. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for the bless you. Okay, I can't pronounce that. Sorry, it's Dabeke. I'm going to say Dabeke. Recession already baked in, bullish. I don't know if the recession is baked in. I don't think we've been talking about recession for the past probably 2-3 years. I've heard it every so often that the recession's coming, and then it's over. And still, we haven't seen a recession yet. So Gary says, yesterday sucked for IREN, but at least they have enough money to now to fund 2026 expansion. That was the biggest source of IREN FUD, so at least that is gone. Yeah, and anytime you do convertible notes, the stock usually goes down, right? So it's kind of, I expected it to go down. I thought we would be down for maybe 2 days, 3 days, but it actually bounced back up here today, so that was actually not too bad. All right. Let's see. Can't pronounce that. I'm sorry. CleanSpark price this month. I think it should get closer to probably $20 by the end of this month if all things go well, but we will see on it. Okay. All right. And I think we are all caught up to your guys' questions. We are. So that was wonderful. Today we went, what is it? 35 minutes or so. Not too bad. Right, as long as things continue to go this way, we get the rate cuts, everything else, I think we're going to be doing much better in the next 6 months to a year going forward. Is it going to be a straight shot up? No, it's going to be a bouncy ride along the way. But if you've been in the markets or particularly in Bitcoin and the miners here for the last couple of years, you know it's par for the course there. So buckle up on that. And with my kids having one last play here, it sounds like at night before they go to bed, I'm going to call it out also and call it a day. Thank you so much for coming in as always. Love you all. I hope you guys have a great Thursday and hopefully things go well for us. And I got one more coming up here from DeBeke. What I meant was I don't see a recession. If anything, the U.S. has come through a recession already. So if it's priced in, that's bullish for the market when it does. Okay, yeah, I would agree with you there on that point. I don't know if we had a recession because we didn't have 2 quarters of negative GDP, but was it a mild recession? Maybe not even a full recession, maybe at that point. But yeah, that's it. All right. Love you all. Yeah, hope you guys have a great Thursday, and I'll see you guys back tomorrow, probably around the same time. All right, I'll see you then. Bye.